Studies show that 80% of people who believe they eat healthy are regularly consuming foods that actively increase their risk of metabolic disease, and most of them have no idea. Today, I'm going to show you exactly which 9 foods are causing that damage, and then, for that the research consistently backs as genuinely beneficial. Let's get into it. The 9 unhealthy foods. Flavored yogurt. Here's a question worth asking yourself. When was the last time you checked the sugar content on your yogurt? A 2022 analysis of over 900 yogurt products found that flavored yogurts averaged 16 grams of added sugar per serving, with some brands reaching 26 grams. That's more than what's in a glazed donut from Dunkin'. And the marketing around this is deliberate. The word yogurt, combined with images of fruit and the color white on packaging, has been shown in consumer psychology studies to trigger what researchers call a health halo effect, meaning your brain classifies the product as healthy before you've even read the label. The fruit on the bottom isn't fruit. It's a gel made from fruit concentrate, cornstarch, and added sweeteners with almost none of the fiber that makes real fruit valuable. What does that sugar do inside your body specifically? It raises blood glucose rapidly, triggers an insulin response, and within 60 to 90 minutes, your energy drops and hunger returns, even though you just ate. There are options that work better for different preferences. If you like something sweet, plain Greek yogurt with a handful of fresh berries and a teaspoon of honey gives you sweetness, protein, and fiber together, without the manufactured sugar load. If you prefer something more neutral, plain kefir is another option with added probiotic diversity. The upgrade isn't about being restrictive. It's about choosing a version that actually keeps you full. Packaged granola. Ask yourself this: if someone handed you a bowl of oats covered in sugar, canola oil, and dried fruit, would you call that a health food? That's essentially what most commercial granola is. A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that granola products marketed as natural or wholesome contained, on average, 8.6 grams of added sugar and 5 grams of fat per 45-gram serving. And that serving size is typically a quarter cup, far less than what most people actually pour. The oats themselves aren't the issue. Oats are genuinely good for you, rich in beta-glucan fiber that lowers LDL cholesterol. The problem is the processing. Toasting oats in refined oil with sweeteners to create clusters destroys some of that benefit and adds a significant caloric density. If granola is part of your routine, a simple filter works. Under 6 grams of sugar per serving, no refined vegetable oil in the first 3 ingredients, and portion it deliberately. A quarter cup over plain yogurt with some protein on the side. That's a completely different meal than a cereal bowl full of it. Processed deli meats. In 2015, the World Health Organization classified processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen, placing them in the same category as tobacco smoke and asbestos, not in terms of potency, but in terms of certainty of evidence. That's a significant statement, and it was largely ignored by the food industry. Processed deli meats contain sodium nitrates and nitrites as preservatives, which react with amino acids during digestion to form nitrosamines, compounds directly associated with colorectal cancer risk in long-term cohort studies. A meta-analysis of 800,000 participants published in the journal BMC Medicine found that eating 50 grams of processed meat per day, roughly 2 slices of deli turkey, was associated with an 18% higher risk of colorectal cancer and a 21% higher risk of cardiovascular disease. This does mean one sandwich destroys your health. Dose and frequency matter enormously in nutrition. But if deli meats are in your lunch 5 days a week, the cumulative exposure is worth reconsidering. Cooking chicken breast or turkey breast at home and slicing it yourself takes about 25 minutes on a Sunday and gives you the same convenience during the week with none of the chemical load. Margarine and vegetable spreads. For roughly 40 years, from the 1960s through the early 2000s, margarine was officially recommended as a healthier alternative to butter by governments, by doctors, by dietary guidelines. That recommendation caused measurable harm. Margarine is produced through partial hydrogenation, a process that forces hydrogen atoms into liquid vegetable oil to make it solid at room temperature, and as a byproduct, creates trans fatty acids. Trans fats raise LDL cholesterol, lower HDL cholesterol, promote vascular inflammation. and are now banned or severely restricted in most countries because the evidence against them became impossible to dispute. Many brands reformulated to remove trans fats, but replaced them with highly refined seed oils, including soybean, sunflower, and safflower oil, which, when processed at high heat during manufacturing, produce oxidized lipids that may contribute to inflammation at high intake levels. Real butter used in moderate amounts is not the enemy it was made out to be. The Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health now acknowledges that replacing saturated fat with refined carbohydrates, which is what happened when people cut butter, produced no cardiovascular benefit. Diet sodas and zero sugar drinks. Here's the question the diet soda industry doesn't want you to ask. If zero-calorie drinks help with weight management, why do countries with the highest diet soda consumption also have the highest rates of obesity? This isn't a coincidence, and the research is starting to explain it. When you consume something sweet, your brain and pancreas respond before the food even reaches your stomach, releasing insulin in anticipation of incoming glucose. With artificial sweeteners, the insulin release happens, but there's no glucose to process, which some researchers believe may contribute to metabolic confusion over time. A study in the journal Cell Metabolism found that sucralose, one of the most common artificial sweeteners, altered the gut microbiome and impaired insulin sensitivity in participants who had previously consumed little to no artificial sweeteners. Additionally, a 2023 review concluded there was insufficient evidence to classify non-sugar sweeteners as effective long-term tools for weight management and noted potential signals of increased cardiovascular risk with aspartame. Sparkling water with citrus herbal teas over ice. These are simple replacements that satisfy the desire for something more than plain water without the metabolic complexity. Instant noodles. One packet of standard instant noodles contains, depending on the brand, between 800 and 1,760 milligrams of sodium in a single meal, when the recommended daily upper limit for most adults is 2,300 milligrams total. That means some varieties use up to 75% of your entire daily sodium budget in one sitting. Beyond sodium, the noodle block is made from refined wheat flour fried in palm oil and then dehydrated, meaning it's simultaneously high in refined carbohydrates and saturated fat without meaningful protein or fiber to slow digestion or create satiety. A 2014 study from Harvard Medical School found that women who ate instant noodles twice or more per week had a significantly higher risk of metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions including elevated blood pressure, blood sugar, and abdominal fat independent of overall diet quality. If speed and cost are the real motivators here, rice with a fried egg and frozen vegetables costs roughly the same, takes 5 minutes, and delivers protein, fiber, and micronutrients that instant noodles simply don't. Commercial fruit juices. The marketing on fruit juice is arguably the most successful nutritional deception of the last century. 100% juice sounds like you're drinking fruit, but what you're actually drinking is the liquid fraction of fruit stripped of its fiber, with the sugar left intact. A standard 240 milliliters glass of orange juice contains approximately 26 grams of sugar and a glycemic index comparable to Coca-Cola, because without fiber to slow absorption, the fructose reaches your bloodstream rapidly. Fiber changes everything about how your body responds to fruit sugar. A whole orange contains the same amount of sugar, but the fiber matrix slows digestion, blunts the glucose spike, and keeps you full in a way that juice cannot replicate. The no added sugar label on juice is technically accurate, but functionally misleading. The sugar was always there, it's just naturally occurring. And your liver processes fructose the same way, regardless of whether it came from a factory or an orange grove. Eat the fruit. Drink the water. Flavored coffee drinks. Coffee on its own is one of the most researched beverages in the world, and the evidence is largely positive. Regular coffee consumption has been associated with reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's disease, liver cirrhosis, and several cancers in large observational studies. But a Starbucks Grande Caramel Frappuccino contains 54 grams of sugar and 420 calories, with the same caffeine you'd get from a plain espresso. The problem isn't the coffee, it's the delivery vehicle. When you add syrups, cream, flavored powders, and whipped toppings to coffee, you've created a dessert that happens to contain caffeine. The antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties of the coffee are still present, but they're entirely outweighed by the sugar and caloric load surrounding them. Black coffee, or coffee with a small amount of whole milk or cream and no sweetener, preserves everything that makes coffee beneficial, while removing everything that makes the flavored versions problematic. Microwave popcorn. Popcorn as a food is genuinely reasonable. It's a whole grain, it has fiber, it's relatively low in calories per cup. The microwave bag version is a different product. Most microwave popcorn bags are lined with perfluoroalkyl substances, commonly called PFAS or forever chemicals, used to prevent grease from soaking through the paper. These chemicals don't break down in the body or the environment, and have been linked in research to thyroid disruption, hormonal interference, and kidney function decline. The artificial butter flavoring in many brands historically contained diacetyl, a compound that caused a condition called popcorn lung in factory workers with prolonged inhalation exposure. Many brands have removed it, but replaced it with other synthetic flavoring compounds with less long-term safety data. Stovetop popcorn takes 4 minutes. 2 tablespoons of kernels in a covered pot, real butter, sea salt. You get the whole grain benefit without the chemical packaging concern. Transition. Those are the 9 foods worth cutting back on, or at minimum, being much more intentional about. Now I want to give you the other side, because reducing things from your diet only works long-term if you're replacing them with something real. Here are 4 foods with genuine nutritional value, backed by consistent research, not trends. The 4 foods with healthy nutrition. Eggs. For decades, the official recommendation was to limit eggs to 3 per week because of dietary cholesterol concerns, a guideline the American Heart Association quietly walked back as the research didn't support it. Here's what the current evidence actually shows. Eggs contain all 9 essential amino acids, vitamin D, vitamin B12, choline, selenium, and lutein in a bioavailable form, meaning your body absorbs them efficiently. Choline is the one most people don't know about. It's essential for neurological function, liver metabolism, and fetal brain development. And approximately 90% of Americans don't meet the recommended intake. A single egg provides about 147 milligrams, roughly a third of the daily target. For most healthy adults without a specific lipid disorder, 2 to 3 whole eggs per day shows no meaningful negative effect on cardiovascular markers, and in several studies improved the HDL to LDL ratio. Eggs are also one of the most satiating foods per calorie, meaning they help you eat less later in the day without requiring effort. Fatty fish. EPA and DHA, the long-chain omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish, are among the most studied nutrients in human biology. Unlike ALA, the omega-3 found in flaxseed and walnuts, EPA and DHA don't require conversion by the body. They're used directly incorporated into cell membranes and play a fundamental role in reducing systemic inflammation, supporting cardiovascular function, and maintaining neurological integrity as we age. A 2021 meta-analysis covering over 150,000 participants found that 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week was associated with a 16% reduction in cardiovascular mortality. Sardines are worth highlighting specifically because they're the most affordable source widely available canned and contain omega-3s, calcium from their soft bones, vitamin D, and B12 in a concentrated form. 1 can of sardines and olive oil provides more omega-3s than most fish oil supplements. Leafy greens. No dietary pattern linked to longevity, not Mediterranean, not DASH, not the Okinawan diet, excludes leafy greens. That consistency across cultures and across research methodologies is meaningful. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and arugula are among the most nutrient-dense foods available by calorie, meaning for 30 to 50 calories, you get magnesium, folate, vitamin K1, vitamin C, iron, and nitrates. Magnesium alone is worth understanding more closely. It participates in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including energy production, DNA repair, blood sugar regulation, and sleep quality, and deficiency is estimated to affect over 50% of adults in developed countries. Dietary nitrates in leafy greens converted to nitric oxide in the body improve blood vessel dilation and blood flow, which is why some sports scientists now recommend beetroot and spinach as natural performance enhancers.